Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this startup webinar. It's good to have so many of you on the call today. I am Jaslyn Bagrath, and I head up the Accounting and Business Solutions team here at Henderson Logie. Starting up a new business is an exciting time, whether you're developing a new product, offering a service, or taking over an existing business. You'll be keen to get started. At this early stage, setting solid foundations is key. There's quite a frightening statistic that around 40% of businesses fail within the first 2 years as they fail to plan. And as Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Knowing about your product or service isn't enough. As a small business owner, you need to understand your legal responsibilities, know how to market, price your product or service, and have a handle on the business finances. Being on top of your finances is important if you want your business to succeed. In the early stages, you'll need to keep track of those costs, monitor your cash flow, and then over time, keep track of your sales and your profitability. Your financials help you spot opportunities and avoid potential issues. And this isn't as onerous a task as it perhaps once was. And this is something that we're going to be covering today in our webinar. So today I am joined by a panel of speakers. We have Mark Hay, who is Director in the Accounting and Business Solutions team here at Henderson Logie. And Mark will be discussing the essential things you need to consider when you're embarking on a new business venture. I'm also pleased to be joined by Ben Lockwood from cloud accounting firm Xero. And Ben will be discussing the benefits of cloud to startup businesses. And finally, I am really pleased to be joined by one of our clients, Barbara Gazida of Kilcam Lodge. And Barbara will be sharing her experiences of starting a business and how cloud has helped her. There'll be time for Q&A at the end of the webinar, so please do pop any questions you have in the Q&A function during the webinar, and I will put these to the panelists at the end. So without further ado, let me pass you over to Mark.
Right. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah, and hopefully the slides are showing, so that should be fine. Right, morning to you all. As Jaslyn said, my name is Mark Hay, and I'm a director with Henderson Logie's Accounts and Business Solutions department up in our Aberdeen office. So in my 18 years in general practice in accountancy, I've worked with lots of businesses at varying stages of their life cycles, from startups through to established businesses and businesses winding down with their owners looking to sell up and retire. But by far the most exciting time is obviously the start of a new business venture. Everything's new. The business owners are full of enthusiasm. They want to get out there, keen to get their product to market and get started. Now, personally, I'd just like to get them off to the best start possible. So I thought I'd chat through some of the key things that are often overlooked at the planning stage of a business. Business owners often rue the decisions or mistakes they made at the beginning, but that's all part of the learning curve of being your own boss and having your own business. But with that in mind, you might as well learn from other people's mistakes here at this webinar, because you'll have plenty of chances in the future to make mistakes of your own. So starting a business can come with numerous challenges. So before you jump right in with all your hard-earned savings and start trading, it's important to get a plan in place. And that starts with asking some key essential questions about your possible business. So the very first thing that I'd urge everyone to consider is you've got an idea for a product or service, but does anyone need it? Is there actually a market for what you're selling? Because if there's not, then it's unlikely your business will actually take off. So you need to identify your market and identify a need for that product and service. The next thing you need to consider is whether or not your business is likely to be sustainable. You know, you want to go and be your own boss, but is your business going to, are you going to be able to live off of that for the next like 5 to 10 years? You know, think about what you're selling. Will people come back? Is it the type of thing that people will come back for more? So you have repeat custom, a constant stream of of people coming back, which is great? Or are you going to be selling a one-off product that means you're going to need an awful lot of new customers every year to make sure that you've got enough to turn a profit and live off of it? If it is one-off sales, you know, you might need to consider, is there other product lines that you can introduce? So once you're happy that you've got a product that's ready and there's a need for it, and you're happy that the business will be sustainable, what's the best business structure to take that product to market? It's common to assume that going into business means you're either going to be a sole trader or a limited company. Those are the ones that people tend to have heard of. But in fact, there's at least 5 possible structures for any business. There's a sole trader, a partnership, a limited liability partnership, or an LLP, as they're known, a limited company, and there are also community interest companies, which are companies for the social good. They're not-for-profits. Now, your options don't just depend on whether you're working solo or if you're going into business with someone else. There can be more to it than that. For example, some customers might only interact with you if you are a limited company, which would then take the decision out of your hand a little bit. So you need to work out who your customers are. Now, another common mistake when we're talking about business structure is, you know, when people go into business with friends or family, you need to consider what happens if your professional or personal relationship were to go wrong, for instance. You know, it's really risky to assume that things will never change. They can, and they often do, so you need to be prepared. To set up your business for success, I would suggest putting in clear legal contracts in place and agree on the constitution of your business right from the outset if you can. Especially if you're going into business with family and friends, you know, see a solicitor, get a proper partnership agreement drawn up just to protect you both, you know, going forward. Also, when you're looking at your business structure at the start, you need to consider whether you might need to be registered for VAT or for PAYE from the outset as well. And that's something your accountant can talk you through. We actually have a great article on the website covering all you need to know about VAT when running a small business. So I'd highly recommend that you have a look at that on the website. The next thing that people don't really consider is how are you going to fund your business? Now, one thing that most established business owners will tell you is cash is key. There are lots and lots of businesses in the past that have failed purely because they ran out of cash. Not because they had a poor product or poor management or poor leadership. They simply ran out of cash before they could really get it up and over the line. So what I would suggest is that you make a list of all the things that you need to get the business up and running and allocate a cost to each of those items. That gives you a rough idea of what you're going to have to spend before you can think about any money coming in. Now, whether you can self-fund that from savings or that'd be ideal. But if you can't and you need to look at other sources of funding, such as borrowing, again, we have another good article on the website that shows various sources of funding that are open to new start businesses. So again, take a look at that. Next, you need to consider, this is all about pricing. What's the value of your product or service? This is all about how you set your prices. And it's often one of the hardest things to decide upon. For instance, if you sell a product, then you can kind of work out how much it costs you to buy it in or manufacture it, and then just add a profit margin. That's what we would call a cost plus approach. However, if you're selling a service, effectively your time and your expertise, then how much do you charge? How much are you worth? So you could work out what you need to make per month to make the business worthwhile and set an hourly rate based around that. But you also have to consider that at the end of the day, your pricing isn't just down to you, because you need to consider what your competitors and your customers think. Knowing how much other people charge for a similar good or service gives you a good starting point. It also gives you a good indication of what your target market are likely willing to pay. Now, we often find that many new startups haven't thought about these first 5 areas in much detail, but the better prepared you are, the more likely you are to develop a sustainable, profitable business that you can then go on and grow. One other thing that new business owners sometimes fall foul of is thinking that they should be able to do absolutely everything themselves. So that's why this next slide is all about knowing exactly when to ask for help. Now, it's natural when you start off in business to wear lots of hats when you're getting your business off the ground. You're the finance director, you're the sales team, you're procurement. And I know that no one will work harder in your business than you. But while hard work is essential, you need to consider how to work smarter as well. The key thing to remember here is that if you find yourself spending too much time working in the business, dealing with admin and compliance and things like that, and not on the business, essentially winning work and delivering to customers, then that's the time that you need to seek outside help. Often it's best to hand tasks like that, often it's best to hand tasks that you're not an expert in to someone who could get it done faster, better, or cheaper than you could do it yourself. That frees up your time to go and run the business more effectively. And it's common for people to outsource things like bookkeeping to an accountant or a third-party bookkeeper. However, if you want to retain control over financials, then investing in cloud software like Xero, which we'll hear about shortly, can make your life easier. It can help automate a lot of the day-to-day financial processing. There are other things you can outsource too. For example, you can outsource your payroll, HR, diary management, or even just general admin support. So please don't feel as though you have to be able to do everything yourself. Now, one of the areas we find people get bogged down in at the start is the paperwork and the finances. And it wouldn't be right for me as an accountant not to mention that one thing, since business owners tend to dread it. So here we go. You need to pay attention to the paperwork. This isn't just about checking that there's money in the bank on a daily basis. You need to pay attention to the paperwork and keep on top of it. The more up-to-date your financial information, the more accurate and relevant it will be to you, to the point where you should be able to base future decisions around it. Now, we know that managing your records isn't the reason that you got into business. That's why there are people like us to help with the boring tasks of bookkeeping while you get on with all the interesting stuff. But whether you get accountancy help or not, you still need to keep adequate records. And reliable records mean that you won't have headaches if your accounts are ever inspected by HMRC or audited. Now, if your records are inaccurate or worse, non-existent, then that could lead to bigger problems with HMRC in the future, including the possibility of fines and penalties. And no business owner wants those hassles. So it's important that you get your books in order from the start. Good bookkeeping information will help you understand where the money is coming into your business, what it's being spent on, which areas of the business you make money on, and which areas of the business you're maybe not making so much money on. Then you can then use that to compare your results to your initial business plan and take action as required. The world of bookkeeping has moved on considerably in the last 10 years, with manual books and spreadsheets totally eclipsed by cloud accounting packages like Xero, which we'll hear about from Ben, our next speaker. And these cloud-based systems can help automate some of the work, helping you speed up the bookkeeping process, reduce the risk of human error when entering the data. So when picking the right system for you, whether that's Xero or outsourcing the bookkeeping completely, or maybe a mix of both, our website has lots of information on the online accounting software available to you, as well as links to video tutorials, so you can see how it works before you dive in. And with us being Xero Gold partners, we can provide you with all the information you need to make an informed decision. We can help you set up the system, and then we can be as hands-on or as hands-off as you require. Obviously, I've just skimmed the surface of some of the things that you need to think about when you're starting up, and hopefully it's been of some use to you. And combined with the fantastic articles on our website, hopefully we set you off in the right direction. So I'll now pass you on to Ben Lockwood from Xero, who can give you more of an insight into their software and what it could do for you and your business. So Ben, that's over to you.
Thank you, Mark. Hi everybody, thank you for having me today. So just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I work at Xero as a partner consultant. Before joining Xero, I worked as an accountant for 5 years, where I worked with businesses of varying sizes and in lots of different industries. And so one of the main things I was involved in, so I could just checking you can see me because I've had something pop up on my screen. There you go. So sorry about that. One of the main things I was involved in was helping my clients move from traditional bookkeeping methods to the cloud. And my hope is that my previous experience in practice, along with the resources that I now have available to me at Xero, can go some way to answering the question why you need cloud accounting. So first of all, why cloud and why now? So I'm going to assume that most of you on the webinar have already identified this, and I do want to stress that it's really important to keep your reasons for your end goals to the front of your mind throughout your project to ensure that you don't become sidelined. You may not be aware that there are endless benefits to moving to clouds, be it real-time reporting, the availability of apps, or the fact that you no longer need to do any bank recs. Regardless of the benefit, regardless of the benefit that stands out to you, it's really important to acknowledge and communicate these benefits throughout your project, both with yourself to keep that focus, but also with your staff so that they're in the loop with what's going on. So whilst this is the first step in your journey, I certainly think it's something that you need to keep to the front of your mind and come back to throughout. There are a whole load of benefits to cloud software. My favourite one personally is the fact that you can work in real time, something that Mark touched on earlier, that the importance of that, it can't be stated enough. And with that, the opportunities that this brings you for you, your accountant, and any advisors that you have to collaborate like never before. And because everyone is working on the same data, there are no need for backups, no issues with backups or version control issues. The data is a single source of truth and ultimately more accurate. Open API means cloud accounting software offers bank feeds with almost all high street banks. This allows you and your accountant to have the most up-to-date financial data. This combined with other data automation tools like invoice capturing software, such as HubDoc, where you can take photos of receipts or scan invoices and send them directly to software such as Xero, is driving efficiencies. Another advantage is the ability to work simultaneously with collaborators such as colleagues or your accountants. In the case of Xero, there is the added benefits of having unlimited users, which means no extra costs on purchasing extra user licenses. I remember the days myself in practice where people would be fighting over one computer to access the software. So this is a massive advantage to you. There is also no limitations as to where you can access the cloud software, providing that you have the use of the internet, you're pretty much good to go. Much to my shame, I'll admit that I have done accounting work sat in a sun lounger in Spain before, which I say really shows the accessibility of where the software can be accessed. People have been talking about the paperless office for years. With new technology, especially easy to use cloud-based applications, we're closer than ever to reaching the goal. This can have many advantages for you, your employees, and your business partners. Aside from the cost saving, it gives you more flexibility to run your business from anywhere and get what you need when you need it. It also removes the hassle of having to physically store paperwork, and that can save you money at times when office space isn't cheap. Now you can store all your business documents safely and securely in the cloud, taking no physical space up. And not only is that great for you and your workspace, but also for the environment. Security is also a big concern for businesses in the UK and EU. With introduction of GDPR in 2018, all personal data must now be protected. And I can't personally speak for other software providers, but at Xero, we've got you covered on this. All of our systems are GDPR compliant, meaning that you never have to worry about any of your data being sort of stolen or lost. We recently introduced multi-factor authentication as well to our software, which adds an additional layer of security by checking that anyone who logs in are who they say they are. Combines your username, and password with an authentication app on your smartphone or tablet. And the second layer of security is designed to prevent anyone but you from accessing your account, even if they have your password. All of the data in Xero is encrypted using industry standard data encryption. Multiple layers of firewalls are in place. All access to our data centers and servers are controlled and monitored, and we equally perform regular security audits to ensure that the system is fully secure. Support is also a key factor with using cloud accounting software, with all providers having some form of support team, whether that be online or telephone support, as well as an array of learning materials to help you get the most out of the product. At Xero, we offer 24/7 support to all our users, meaning that wherever you are, there is always someone on hand to guide you through it. We also have fantastic education resources for all parts of our software, meaning that whatever you may need help in doing, we've got you covered on that. Another advantage is more time to focus on your business. We hear all the time from business owners about how accounting takes up large chunks of the time. Using a cloud-based accounting system can give you some of that time back to spend on things that will really benefit your business. This can be through things such as bank rules to auto-populate large portions of your bank transactions, or repeating invoices so that you only need to produce an invoice for a service to a customer once, and then the software will do a lot of the rest of the legwork for you. As cloud accounting software products are internet-based, it would also be an oversight on my part if I didn't mention that there are no software updates to download and install. You're always working on the most up-to-date version with the access to the latest tools and features. This is in contrast to traditional desktop-based softwares, which often require large updates to keep the software running smoothly. As you can see, there are some clear benefits to cloud accounting software, and introducing this to your business can really revolutionize the way that you work. Following on from that, this is a great illustration of some of the time savings we discussed earlier using cloud software over those traditional accounting methods. An example of this was from a business that was previously using Sage Desktop for their business. The job took on average around 7 hours a month. Another thing to note here, this job was being done quarterly. So not only are you decreasing the time spent, but also a really key thing is to know that unlike desk software, cloud software means that the data can be kept up to date in real time. And not only for you as the business owner to make more informed decisions, but also to keep your accountant in the loop too. This means that stakeholders will have a far greater grasp on the finances and cash flows, and that can only mean great things for the business. This business then moved onto Xero, and the job was now taking 2 hours a month. The business initially started using Xero purely for invoicing, and this shows that not only was it time saving, but the job became even easier to manage for all parties. Finally, the year-end accounts production went from being filed 6 months following the year-end to just 6 weeks after, because that data was so up to date. Another key benefit of cloud accounting software is connectivity to third-party apps. In the case of Xero, you'll find thousands of third-party apps that connect to improve business efficiency. These provide great benefits for any specific features that your business requires that is not available in Xero, or you require someone to enhance the functionality around that area. For example, you may require a point of sale system or a niche application like a property management software. There is an app for almost anything. I would suggest taking a look yourself at the app marketplaces that are available, such as the Xero App Store, or speak to your accountant to see if there are any ones that they could suggest that could potentially benefit your business and the way that you work. Each app has a designated page where you can find some more information about it. That's on the Xero App Store. Perhaps more importantly, you can read the reviews from people who have actually used the apps and see how it worked for them and benefited for them. Something that's really invaluable when choosing the right app that works for you. The idea behind using apps alongside your accounting software is ultimately to build an app stack. Using the potential with Xero's app stack as an example, you can look at building an app stack that includes, for example, some of the following. A data capture tool to capture your purchase invoices and small receipts into your accounting software. This is one of my biggest recommendations, to be totally honest, because it removes that need to be manually entering your receipts into the software. A debtor tracking app to keep on top of the money owed to you owed to your business by your customers. Payment services app to make paying suppliers easier. Even a job management app to keep on top of projects that you have in progress. And you can sort of top that all off as well with some form of cash flow forecasting and reporting to plan for the future, so you can review the past and plan for any future events that are coming up. All of these apps and the corresponding integrations with cloud accounting software designed to make your life as a business owner as stress-free as possible, whilst helping you and your advisors make informed, accurate business decisions. So now that you've heard from me about sort of the main key benefits of cloud accounting, what's next? So making tax digital firmly on people's minds and on the horizons too, is important that you ensure that your business is compliant. My suggestion there would be to speak to your accountant about the options available to you in the cloud accounting space, and they will be able to help you get started on your cloud accounting journey and put you in the best possible position to succeed. I hope that from hearing from me today is giving you a better understanding of why you need cloud accounting software. Thank you very much for your time, and I think I'll hand back to Jaslyn now.
Thanks, Ben. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an overview of Xero itself. But now I'd like to welcome Barbara Gazida. So Barbara has worked in the hospitality sector for many years, and in 2021 bought the beautiful Kilcam Lodge Hotel on the west coast of Scotland. And I suppose, Barbara, whilst you have many years of experience working and managing hotels, managing your own business comes with its new challenges. So thank you for joining us. I thought first it just might be nice for people to hear about I suppose the challenges and also the exciting things that have happened in running your own business. So perhaps you could start by telling us some of the best bits or the sort of the highlights of the last 9 months of being your own boss.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Jaslyn. So just a bit about myself. Like Jaslyn said, I've got about 17 years experience in hospitality, but it's mainly front of house, so running the hotel. I've never done anything with accounts before, so that was kind of new challenge for me with this adventure. So about 2 years ago, me and 3 of my partners decided to get our own business. It took us a year to find the right place, and eventually we found a beautiful hotel on the west coast of Scotland, which we started trading in July last year. Main challenges, there was quite a few, to be honest, because on top of everything that you can think of when you open your own business, there was also COVID, which didn't help at all. Everything seemed to take ages. Everything that you can think that you might take a day or two was turning into weeks and months. And we were obviously on a tight schedule because we had only a couple of weeks to prepare everything. Things like bank accounts, simple thing that you would think will take 1 or 2 days, took over a month. Ended up with 2 bank accounts at the end because we had to get something just in the meantime. Setting up all the suppliers, all the systems, all the health and safety. That was a big chunk as well. And even something like setting up a PDQ payment system. You would think, again, that would be a straightforward thing. Unfortunately, it's not. There is a lot of checks happening before, and it took a couple of months to get that in place as well. So there was quite a few things going on. And obviously, on top of everything, there was COVID, there was being a hotel. There was obviously lots of uncertainty, what's going to happen, which way we're going to go. So it was all a bit risky, but we did it anyway. And the best things, the kind of obvious thing, you are your own boss, so nobody can tell you what to do. Well, that's what you think, but then you've got your team that does tell you what to do every day, but that's a different story. But going back to obviously why we're here, the main thing for me was accounts. Anything to do with finance. Like I said, I've not done that part of running the business before, and obviously this is kind of one of the biggest. And that's where Henderson & Logie came in and obviously helped a lot, introduced us to Xero, which I've never used any system before, so that was like the first one I've used. And how did you find it in terms of then the use of it, I suppose, because as you say, you're not from a finance background. So. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. It was only just a couple hours of training with guys from Henderson & Logie, and I thought it was going to be like the worst experience on the planet just to do my own account. We were actually looking to get an accountant because the paperwork was just everywhere. There was just so much to do. But honestly, after a couple of months of using the system, it's amazing. I couldn't recommend it enough. It was obviously with the support with guys from Henderson & Logie. They explain everything, and it's so simple to use. I was actually shocked how that I do it, and it's so easy. If you make a mistake, okay, you can easily fix it. It flags everything up for you. You can go back and change things, add things. It's kind of like a live system that you can literally access anytime. And as Ben said, a lot of actually what Ben said is what I found very useful. You can access it anywhere, laptop, iPad, anywhere really, in the workplace, outside the workplace. Anytime you want to have a look, you can easily just go and have a look. The paperless thing is a big thing for me because we don't have much storage space at all. It's one small office that we're sharing, and just the option. What I found useful, actually, I don't know if that's a thing, but I scan all my invoices through my phone. So it's as easy almost as taking a picture of the invoice, and that sends it directly to Xero. And once that's done, it's obviously in Xero, it's kept there, so I don't need to keep it. So paperwork is it's almost gone. The only things I need to keep is obviously like hotel side of things, but nothing to do with finances. Everything is on a system. I can access it anytime. I've been using Xero since July last year. I've never had any issues accessing it. No error messages, no nothing. Literally is
obviously because you're quite remote at the hotel. So I did wonder about that in terms of like accessibility and Wi-Fi issues, but you have not had an issue.
No, nothing at all. It works great. It's connected to the bank directly, so all the transactions go through it straight away. The P&L is on it as well, and it's very straightforward to use. Everything is very clear to read, and again, if you're going down the route of using the accountant, it will be quite easy to talk you through it, set up everything for you. We've done 2 VAT returns, which again was a huge thing for me. I didn't have a clue what to do, but we've done 2 since we opened, and it was so easy. Again, I still can't believe how easy it is. Taking into consideration, like I said, I've never had anything to do with accounts and finance, and it's like a black magic to me. But
going back to what you were talking about there, I suppose like with the bank feeds, and that's a factor that makes it really simple. Is obviously Xero connects to your business bank account, which therefore it basically downloads all your transactions, doesn't it, into Xero from your bank, and obviously then you decide where that transaction should go, whether it be an income or an expense, but it kind of is building your reports for you. So, and I know you looked at, because you do have 1,001 things to do running a hotel, that you did look obviously at trying to maybe potentially get a bookkeeper, but there was issues there in terms of the type of person, the right person, and the availability of bookkeepers, I know. But how long is it therefore taking you roughly on a monthly basis to kind of keep up to date with all the books and prepare your VAT return? Okay, so I probably shouldn't admit this because the guys do recommend to do it once a week, but not every week I had the time. So I was doing it once a month, and it only took me a couple hours to catch up with a month's work, which is again a massive help because obviously time is of the essence. And again, it was so easy to do. Everything is there. Everything, like if you miss something, it flags it up. If you basically, it's like a step-by-step guide that you do every time you're on it, and things that obviously when you do it every month you maybe forget, but then again it's so easy that you can go back, you can look through history and see how you did it a month ago, and straight away you can see, and it's really good. I do recommend doing it once a week because that would maybe just take half an hour instead of 2 hours, but even the 2 hours once a month is nothing in comparison to what I would do if I went through like different system, the desktop system. So yeah. And then I suppose, as you were saying before, then from there, at a touch of a button, you can run off your profit and loss account and your balance sheet. So at any time, as Ben talked about, you've got that real-time information to see how the business is performing.
Exactly, yeah, it's very easy to use. Again, you just go into reports, P&L, and everything is there. And there as much information as you put in, obviously that's what it sees. But once everything is up to date, you can see straight away your bank accounts are balanced, and P&L is nice and easy to see as well. Sorry, I am at work.
Okay.
So yeah. Very, very easy to access and very easy to read, which to me, again, from having no experience, was the main thing for me to see. And honestly, it's very, very easy to understand.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose speaking about that, because I know working with a lot of different software, and particularly when you're not used to it, I find the language that they use in Xero is really kind of user friendly. So it's less about debits and credits, which is kind of the old school accounting terms, and more about, I think is it money in, money out, or and talking about customers and suppliers, so things that is easier from a business perspective to understand.
It's definitely, it's very, very user friendly. Like I said, for somebody that's never done accounts before, to within just a couple of weeks to putting everything through without any issues, that is definitely very easy. I couldn't recommend it enough. Don't know if obviously I don't have experience with other systems, but just from what I've seen so far with Xero, I wouldn't change it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And I suppose it's just important to, and I know you've mentioned this already, Barbara, which is really kind of you, but yeah, I think it's like any system. It's what you put in is what you'll get out of it. So it is important to kind of make sure that it's set up correctly and that you get the right training so that you know how to use it properly. But yeah, I think it's good to see, especially from a small business point of view, where you don't have a lot of help and support, and you're doing a lot yourself, and also you want to do a lot yourself, so that you've got that control. But being able to keep on top of your finances quite quickly, efficiently, and providing the information you need, which is great. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we've got some questions for the panelists. So Mark, I'll just come to you first. And someone has asked, how soon should you register with Companies House if you're exploring starting up a business?
Yeah, I think that's an important topic to cover. There's often a bit of confusion over that. Essentially, you need to register with HMRC within 3 months of you starting to trade, whether that's as a self-employed trader or a partnership or a company. In terms of Companies House, you can't trade as a limited company until the company actually exists. So if you want to start up on your own and you want to trade through a limited company from the very start, then you need to set the company up before you start raising any invoices. You also wouldn't be able to get a business bank account for the limited company until the company actually exists. So that's something to bear in mind too. You can register a company fairly quickly these days, often in a couple of hours. And you don't need to start trading from it straight away either. You could leave it as a dormant company until you're ready to start to trade. You just need to advise HMRC of the date you actually start trading. So yeah, that's
okay. And I suppose, and another question that I get asked quite a lot is when should you engage with a professional accountant? Is that right at the outset where you just start your business, or would it be a few months down the line?
Yeah, well, I've never come across anyone who came to us too early with a question, but plenty of people that have come to us that it might have been more beneficial if they'd spoken to us sooner. So I think if anyone on the webinar is asking that question, like when should I engage with an accountant, if you're asking that now, the time is now. The earlier you speak to an accountant, the better, because you can kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that we've talked about already. But if you're already trading and you haven't engaged with an accountant yet, please don't put it off. There are plenty of people that do wait until the last minute when they have to do a set of accounts or they have to do a tax return, and then that's the first time they go looking for an accountant. By then you've already sort of maybe made a few mistakes in there. So the sooner you do it, the better. If you've got a good business idea and you want to chat it through, most accountants will quite happily meet with you for an initial session without charge, just to find out what's your business all about, what's your idea about, and see where that sort of relationship goes. So yeah, the sooner you speak to an accountant, the better, to be honest.
And Ben, I've got a question for you here. Obviously, we've touched a lot on startup businesses, but there might be businesses that are maybe established or have been going a while, and they're keeping their books on Excel or just or paper notebooks. How easy is it to move to Xero if you're using a different package or Excel?
The short answer is very. It's actually the area I specialise in at Xero, is why I specialise around the migration and onboarding over to Xero. Top and bottom of it is if you're using other software, so the likes of a Sage or a QuickBooks, where there is a separate piece of software called Move My Books, which if you're moving over to Xero, it will move that data over for you for free. So definitely worth looking at that. And that will give you full transactional history for your year to date and your full previous year, and bring all that over to Xero, and you'll have all that back in data. If you're coming over from, say, paper or generally paper, Excel, anything like that, the best way we advise is to do it is to sort of basically get a final set of accounts. So do it at a clear reconciliation point, whether that be at after you finish the VAT return, or generally what is most common once you finish a financial period or tax year if you're a sole trader or partnership. Then look to take that your closing data, so effectively your closing accounts, and post them in as opening accounts into Xero. You just basically need that information from your accountant to populate Xero, and then you can get started by like setting up your bank feeds to get your information in for the new financial year, set up like invoice templates, things like that. So it is quite sort of self-explanatory as well to set up, whether you have an accountant's help or not. There is a lot of step-by-step guides within there as well. Yeah.
So step-by-step guides are within Xero.
Yeah, so when you start open up a new subscription, it does talk you through some steps, and at the top of every page it will prompt you what there is to do on that page. Equally, there are some support guides within our support area which is Xero Central, that is around starting up on Xero. So there is a lot of more in-depth step-by-step guides in there as well.
And then just one last question that we had is what's the pricing structure in Xero? I know obviously it does depend on a lot of factors, but I suppose for a small business who's thinking about starting out, and again another cost is software, I always find Xero quite reasonable. But could you maybe just talk us through roughly how the pricing works? Yeah,
so generally you will get a slightly better deal going through an accountant, just because we have different pricing structures from selling direct to businesses and direct to, and then selling to accountants to basically provide to their clients. If you come in straight to us, then there are 3 tiers. You have your starter, standard, and premium tiers. Starter's pretty basic in terms of limited number of transactions, limited number of invoices, but quite ideal if you say you're a service business with very few requirements on invoices. The standard one is the most common one that gets used, that sort of gives you all the basics that you need to do your bookkeeping in the software. And then your premium one, which effectively incorporates foreign currencies if that is applicable to you. Your standard one is sort of the base rate is £26 per month plus VAT. And I say there are some different pricings available through accountants, but that would be something to discuss with accountants depending on the deal that they have got. And then there are some additional features that dot around, like Xero projects, Xero expenses, and sort of it's not always applicable, but generally the standard pricing around that is £5 per month to activate it, and then £5 per month per user thereafter if you do want to use it. And also the other thing just to note as well is with the business editions, you do actually get access to HubDoc for free. So there is no need to pay for your invoice scanning software. That is free, included with the business editions.
I was just going to ask if you could, yeah, so HubDoc is sort of where you scan your invoices into Xero. Yeah,
so again, it can be used in a couple of different ways. You can either just send your invoices straight into Xero into what we call Xero files, store it in there to create the invoices manually. But if you do want to automate that to a degree, which would definitely be my recommendation, look at using HubDoc. HubDoc has a lot of built-in technology within it to learn patterns with the invoices, to start predicting where the invoices should go, to take a lot of the work off your shoulders as a business owner.
Great. Thanks, Ben.
No problem.
Well, I think that's all the questions that we've got. I think it just leaves me time to, that's good, we're ahead of time, and it gives everybody a little bit more time back in their day. So I would just like to thank you very much for listening, and I would also like to thank the panellists, Mark, Barbara and Ben. I hope you find that really useful. I know I did. If you have any further questions, then please do reach out to us after the webinar and we'll be happy to answer them. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.